Welcome to the first episode of the Starting From Zero series. I'm your host, Andrew Glintos, and with me throughout the series will be Christopher Sant from Clearview Cyber. Guys, before you watch this awesome video, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell for future notifications, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next video.
And so I guess I was putting some content out there, and we were both guests on a webinar series through a mutual friend, James Wrigley, and then we kind of crossed paths, and then you very graciously pointed out some issues that I had with my new website, which I really appreciated from a value add perspective, and then that's the one that you've got here now. And so I guess as a new business owner, the first thing I wanted to do was get a point of presence online, just to sort of, make your mark and get some, get a landing point out there that people could point to. And, having put some time into this, I thought, hey, this is actually okay and has some information in it. Didn't want anything too flash, but didn't realize until you pointed out that it was basically doomed to be invisible forever, pretty much online. Like I couldn't search for it myself, and I, was Googling pretty hard. And, I had people telling me, hey, Chris, you're an IT guy. How come I can't Google your website? I'm like, yeah, I've got someone helping me out with that. So I appreciate you pointing out some of that stuff. It was really good.
Yeah, awesome. And look, I always give away free advice, but you're the one that seemed to be extremely grateful for it. And that only makes me want to just keep sending you more and more stuff. And then I thought to myself, well, you know what? It's great to give away free advice. It helps, but I didn't want to make it just so it just helps you. Obviously, it's going to help you the most because it's going to be personalized to you. But there'll be a lot of takeaways for people who are going to watch this. And when I do create this as a series, and we can sort of watch your journey, even if it takes, like my recent case study took 4 years to get 7,000% growth. If it takes 4 years to get you 7,000% growth, I'll probably take that because that will be enormous to your business. And who knows what other growth you'll bring yourself. Yeah. But just from an SEO perspective, it'd be enormous for you. So I'll take that tomorrow. So if we have that and we're doing like even monthly vids on this series, I think it's going to be quite interesting, and it's going to give the audience, and it's actually going to show that I have to know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a clown, and I shouldn't be charging for services.
No, I get it. And I've been amazed, even after 1 or 2, even 3 conversations with you, how much I've learned about the process and what goes on in the back end behind a website, why things need to be set up in a certain way. I guess going back 5 months in the Wix world, and I'm not talking down about Wix, but I'm just talking from my personal experience. You set up the website, you go through the wizard that does the SEO optimization. And for someone who's not SEO inclined or knows about how websites work, like me, at a basic level anyway, you do the questionnaire and it says tick, your SEO is optimized, you're good to go. So that's all you see, and then when I've had that universe and then come over to you and had a different lens, it's really opened my eyes to how restricted I was. So I was surprised.
Yeah, or different mechanics were past different grades of cars too, mate. So for roadworthiness.
That's true.
Right. So, I mean, for me, I didn't, like I said, the most alarming was, how can you say something's SEO optimized when all of your content was dumped on one page? I mean, how could you call that SEO optimized? You're not supposed to know any better. But then again, Wix isn't claiming to be an SEO service or platform specifically. It's just to get you up with a web presence. So on that basis, it delivers on its brief and its business model. But I think Wix, I definitely think Shopify, Squarespace, all of these sort of really commercialized website products can deal with a lot of improvement with SEO. Like I just did I did a live SEO audit with a friend of mine, Shani from Say It With a Box. And mate, like I went for like 45 minutes. I'm just like, I better stop now. But there is just it just keeps going and going and going. A friend of mine asked me, well, why are you always down on Shopify? Like, what's so bad about it? I'm not down on Shopify. I'm just saying it can be improved upon. Yeah. And like, for example, the way they structure URLs. And I find that with all these commercialized products, including Wix, it's the structuring of the URLs that is the blatantly obvious.
Yeah,
And the
agree.
way
And they look like garbage. Like, they were garbage.
the way WordPress does it, you actually, the way in which websites are structured is sometimes you can have a page or especially posts or products, if it's an e-commerce store, in multiple categories. So you have to assign it, right, to what's what a URL is. It's a unique resource locator or whatever. It has to be a unique identifier. So the way WordPress handles that is you assign the primary category.
Yeah.
And then you can still place them in multiple other categories, which I think is the simplest and brilliant idea. Other platforms seem to not like to do it that way, which doesn't make any sense to me, because obviously you understand, like with some e-commerce platforms, they put their product page, like it's like when you walk into Coles supermarket, you expect to walk into dairy, milk, and then dairy farmer product.
Yeah.
The way in which some of these stores have it is you walk in, you don't have 8 aisles, you've got one aisle and the product's on the floor. It's not even categorized. All right. And so just dumped straight on the floor. And that's the equivalent of some of the issues I see with sites out there. So I don't want to make the podcast about just bashing these other platforms.
People need to know, because if I knew what I knew now and watched this half an hour of two guys talking about this, I honestly wish I had this to watch 5 months ago, because I wouldn't have wasted 5 months on a website that hadn't even been indexed by Google yet until you rocked up.
Yeah, it wasn't indexed by Google, and I don't know whether Google had found it and just didn't like it, or they just never came across it. I don't know. We can't know that now. But the fact is, if we are still screen sharing, hopefully, if you go to site:/clearviewcyber.com.au, you already have 20 URLs indexed. So I believe that would be the majority of the site. If Google has excluded anything, it's only on the basis of it most likely doesn't like that piece of content for whatever reason: duplicate content, low quality, less thin content. There can be an array of reasons why, but I think 20 sounds pretty fair. Would you agree?
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
For the size of site that I've got, and what made me laugh as well is I found this really funny. I don't know if I told you this yet, actually, so it's good that we're recording this again. So when I pulled the pin on the Wix site and said, okay, fine, I'll listen to what Andrew says. He's the guy. I can't really, argue with Mr. Miyagi. Just sort of do what you're told. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Daniel-san.
Yeah, wax on, wax off, right? So what happened was I pulled the pin on Wix and managed to get a refund for the remainder of my 2 years of hosting and stuff. The price of me going to take your advice, going to an online site, getting an overseas developer to build me a WordPress site, and then hosting it somewhere was actually slightly cheaper than the refund of what I got from the Wix hosting for the balance of the 2 years. I thought that was really funny.
Well, that's good. At least it was cheaper than...
It was affordable. What I mean is it wasn't, I didn't have to pay crazy money to do it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And like, I don't know if you want to share what you paid for the site, but I think it was a pretty fair, I think it was actually more than fair.
Yeah. I'm happy to share it. So I went to Fiverr.com because I had a really good experience getting my logo done through them, through someone on there about 5 months ago. And then so I thought, okay, I'll go look into getting a website done. Yeah. And you could pay anything from literally $100 to upwards $500. So I thought, okay, I'll have a look around. And I just looked at some people's work and what I thought was similar in style and quality. And there was a guy who did it for me for 140 Australian dollars, which is ridiculous. So I paid 140 Australian dollars. I actually tipped him. I just rounded it up to $200 and I thought it was good value. He was extremely happy. He spent a few nights with me on a video call, tweaking every aspect of it to make it, pretty much bang on what I wanted. And I've since referred 2 or 3 other friends to use his services directly.
Yeah, and I would like his details. I think that's a really fair price. The fact that he went on video with you as well. So just to recap before we forget, obviously you and I can talk for hours. Just what I want to get through though, is I want to talk about what we just did quickly.
Yep.
And then what I need from you, and then for video number 2,
Yeah.
then I probably would need your details, which I will log in, and then we can start recording, and then we can go from there. So what I noticed from the get-go on the old site, as I mentioned, everything was on one page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason we moved to WordPress was obviously give you in our opinion, a much better foundation to build your site on for the next X amount of years. And even if you want a new design, it's not like you're going back to the car yard to purchase a new car. You already have the engine. You're just giving it another spray paint. So even if you do decide to upgrade a site, every site needs to be upgraded. You look at Facebook and Instagram. I watched a documentary on Instagram. They spent like $1 billion just redesigning their $1 billion. It was a lot of money. Their sort of mobile app. So the user experience, it's fashion, man. It just never ends, right?
So the key takeaways that I took from your advice the first time we spoke, in summary from my perspective, was the one-page thing was no good. So my idea of simplicity was sort of okay, but we really needed to have a landing page with a summary and then linking out to individual service pages. And that way the content could be, more specific. People could drill down into it. The UI would be better. It would be able to be indexed better, searchable, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And more functional. So it would work better. We could customize it for mobile devices, desktop, iPad, tablets, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was the key things that I kind of took out of our first cycle of advice.
Yep. Awesome. So we are going to have to, the first thing, this is probably for step number 2, and we'll work on it because I do want to recap what we did. This is like a little canonical thing. Now it's a tag, it's an attribute, and it tells Google that if you have 4 or 5 different pages that look identical, it tells Google which version to index first, right? Now, the way in which your homepage is done, the way the canonical is done for this particular homepage probably isn't an issue because Google understands that the only difference is you're referencing right now the version without the trailing / at the end. Do you see that? Right? Yeah. So we can change that in the settings in the back end. We'll look at that off recording. And then if you look, when I scrolled over the canonical, the little drop down shows that the canonical is pointing to the version with the trailing /. Now, that is a big problem when you start dealing with multi-level URL structures, or when it's like secondary, third level. It isn't so much of a problem now because you can even see that the version that Google actually indexed is, if you look at the bottom left of the screen, the Clearview cyber without the trailing /. So they understood that. Now, I'm just pedantic and paranoid when it comes to my SEO. So that will just do my head in, right? If I was working on a client, and I'll get that fixed immediately. Sometimes what other websites do, they have the canonical pointing to /home, and then when you click /home, it's redirecting back to the version without /home. So you're just giving, it's like a 15-year-old schoolgirl. You're just giving away too many mixed signals, mate. Right? So I don't go
there, mate.
So the point would be is to obviously have clear, concise, consistent sort of structure. So if you're pointing to a URL, don't then if your entire site is pointing to a URL, don't make that URL then tell Google that this isn't version you want indexed. In fact, it's another version. So obviously there's legitimate times when you need to have 3 or 4 different, for example, back in the day, you would have a mobile version of a page, a desktop version, or you might even have even about the products being in multiple categories, but you want to assign the product, you want to tell Google to index so it doesn't get confused. It's a bit technical, but it's not so much of an issue in this particular example, but I will just fix it up. We'll fix it up after as well.
Yeah, that's fine. We should probably mention version 2.0. There was a few things you found in the first iteration of this new site too.
That's right. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So just in the first recap, we basically transitioned away. Primarily, the biggest takeaway was we moved away from Wix, we went to WordPress, and we moved away from a one-page site into at least 18 pages.
Something like 12 to 18 pages, yeah.
Yeah, because there's 20 index, but there could be other stuff that was caught up in there as well.
And then and then the ability on the new site to have a blogging feature and then create content and having a parking space for that. That was another must-have. I didn't have that on the previous one.
No, that was major. Yeah, absolutely. You can see on your original site you had more than the contact us, which baffled me. But obviously, look, this is coming. You did it. You didn't know what you were doing. So hey, if it comes to cybersecurity, I probably
the funny, yeah. Just to add to that too. So that more thing that you're seeing on that site. So that never even, anytime I viewed that on my end, it looked perfect with 5, buttons up the top. That more thing only rendered after the fact. And that goes back to the point again around, what you see is what you get versus a platform where there's some stuff that's open for interpretation.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So look, that was the major things. Look, from a design perspective, it wasn't that bad of a design. Like, you could have even kept the exact same design and moved it to WordPress. It didn't have many things wrong with it other than those few things. I mean, the site, I didn't look at it that clearly on mobile because I've only looked at desktop. Mobile is more important than desktop, even for SEO and for user experience. But just from a design angle, I had no major problem with it. It was just I'm looking at it from the SEO lens, and then that's where I started having issues. But we moved it over to WordPress to give it a better foundation, and we started placing all of your services pages under the services tab, right? And I'm going to get to the footer in a minute. I still recommend that we put the phone number somewhere at the top.
Yeah, we played with that, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And an email at the top as well. Even a little search thingy, like where people can search on the site. It would need to be structured, designed in a way where it doesn't make it too noisy and convoluted and distracting. We also put in phase 1, we put the little buttons, the more info buttons under. I thought that was a little bit more user friendly than just having the headings and the images. I think,
and it's funny you mentioned that, because I thought of that, and then the developer kind of not talked me out of it, but he said, people are going to use their hand and navigate over it, and they'll see the icon change. But realistically, especially on a mobile device, when you're scrolling, you don't have a mouse, so you've got no way to know whether there's more content behind a paragraph or an icon.
Yeah.
Some of that usability and sort of UX stuff like that I would never think of is actually really good to consider.
And like on a mobile, right? So how it looks like when we just change it over around to a mobile, it looks a lot better having the more info.
Yeah.
Than without it. So just switching back to desktop. So yeah, mate, I think it looks good. And then we also shifted and changed the footer. I think your footer looks good. You bolded the phone number, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We had a few broken links. I remember we had
I still can't believe we had broken links. I was so pedantic about triple checking them all.
Yeah.
Especially before I rocked up to you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, there's one here, there's one there. Anyway, it must have missed a few. But the services at the bottom, that's been really good.
Yeah.
So we had to make some room for that. So now there's another link back to that again.
So if you go to, what happens when you click, service summary, we'll go back to the services. Okay, so what happens when I'm on the About Us? Just going back to, okay, so let's just go straight back to the homepage. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I don't think
we put some thought into it. We've put a little bit of thought into
it. What you could do for me would be better, and see the canonical again, stripping the service. What I would do is with the service summary, I would actually have a services page where it could maybe showcase this again, but you might add a little bit more content. You might add a video. You might add quotes. Obviously, you don't want it to be identical to the homepage because then you have that duplicate content issue. But see, on the homepage, you've got testimonials. Do you have a question? So you wouldn't necessarily copy all of exactly the same on the services page, but it makes sense to have a dedicated services page where you showcase all your services and maybe add videos, a bit more text, just to make sure that it isn't identical to the homepage. But for all intents and purposes, it wouldn't cause much issues. And I think it would be better than just having it go back to the homepage with the hashtag, which is like an anchor, anchoring to the point of that particular page on the homepage, that particular section on the homepage.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. Something that I haven't really mentioned that to you before, but I like how you put the services. I think that looks way, way better.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you, from an SEO perspective, when you link to the same pages multiple times, top and bottom, Google understands that these are your most important pages. So it's like externally, like with SEO, with one of the big factors of SEO rankings is who links to you. So who in the cybersecurity industry or related industry says that Chris knows what he's talking about, and I'm going to link to one of his. Let's say you do a blog post and you do like stats and statistics and data on, you know, how important it is to have a password that is strong, that it includes, you know, character, you know, the symbols, the
basic stuff, right?
Yeah. And you did an actual case study on the percentages of passwords that are hacked with and without extra symbols, and you did this massive case study in that blog post. You take that blog post and you want to promote it to get people to link to it within the cybersecurity, because that's what Google's looking at it going. It's like when you get your PhD, you have to get people to. Sorry, am I interrupting something?
Sorry.
No, I thought I was interrupting. It's
no. I laughed because it said when you get your PhD, like it's, you know, getting a thing of milk, because I haven't got a PhD, you know.
Yeah, I know, but it's like if you get your PhD, you have to sort of get peer reviewed.
Yeah.
From people that we so from a Google, I'm trying to break down the SEO tech speak.
Yeah. Okay.
With real life analogy. So yeah, so you want to basically build content to get your links externally from relevant and authoritative resources, but internally, Google looks at that as saying the more times you link to a page internally, obviously that's a very important page for you.
Of course.
And that's why I've asked you to put that footer in the bottom.
Yeah. And that's why I've done it. So it didn't take long. So that was okay for him. It was more work to do the buttons in the middle, to be honest, because it's all custom CSS for every different device.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's done. So I'm really proud of it, actually. I'm really happy. And I've shared it with a bunch of friends and colleagues and stuff. And the feedback's been really positive, that they can understand things, they can drill into more info when they want more info. So now I think my next phase is kind of moving to the blog and trying to pull some of the video content that I've been building, some of the how-to, some of the information that's kind of stuck in the back of my head, and then turn that into content that I can share with people more broadly, and then kind of drive traffic to the site from there.
I mean, even I think I saw a YouTube video on how to even create a memorable, highly strength password.
Yeah.
And he gives you, and I think the video got like hundreds, if not millions, it got hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
And it was only like a 5-minute video, man. Like, you know, people want to know, how do I remember passwords? I mean, that's a whole section like of your blog post, of your blog that you could build out. And Google, like there is formats that people will click on more, like lists. So, you know, top 10 ways to keep your password safe, or to keep your bank accounts safe and things like that. I can tell you later off script about a friend of mine from my church where he got hacked something like 20 grand from his bank account, because they would actually siphon they hacked his phone. So all the alert
been elsewhere.
Yeah. So it bypassed all the bank, you know, extra security, and it still got in. And I think he only got back maybe 10 grand or something like that. Anyway, it was something where he knows the full story. So securing your bank or securing your phone and things like that. I mean, Google like if you do like list-based content, so just like 5 top blog posts, the top 5 ways to secure your online bank account. You know, or here are 5 things you need to look out for in 2020 when it comes to your cybersecurity. Little things are like list form. Here's what you must know. Here is a quick guide. You know, people like numbers, lists, quick guides, definitive guides. That will be probably more of a discussion in the next one. But I think you could probably even add like a little form down the bottom to get people's details without having to go to contact us, filling out the form. That would be so easy to sort of program into your maybe moving this somewhere or moving this over so it's a bit longer and then shoveling them all over and just putting the form
Yeah. I
so
guess it's a balance between having it look clean and then having more stuff on there because, and I'm happy to take what you're saying on board. I'm trying to find the balance between I guess it's a bit of an, what is it like, when you put so much effort into something and then you might put 80% effort to get it to a certain point, but then every bit of effort you put in there is incremental after the fact.
Yeah.
And so it's good to kind of know when you reach that point of, okay, it's actually way better than it was. And by doing a few extra little things, that'd be a great thing. A must have might be this, a nice to have might be this. You know what I mean? Because you kind of, especially because my whole brand is about being clear, that's kind of why I had the website so simple when I started, because I wanted it to be clear and sharp and not too busy.
Yeah, and you can see in the footer that it looks a bit busy.
Exactly, I've struggled with that now. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're probably right. So he might need to on the mobile collapse these um, columns down underneath, so it's all like vertical.
Yeah.
So because right now he's trying to fit it all in one screen. So
Do I actually even need the page list at the bottom on mobile?
I think it would be a good idea to keep all of them there. What I would recommend, okay, fine about the form because it would probably make it very long, but I would definitely recommend just on mobile to have the little phone thingy where when you click on it, little phone icon, when you click on it, it just it opens up on the person's iPhone or Android, opens up your number straight away. That's very easy to do.
Yeah.
Just on desktop because on mobile, because on desktop it doesn't make sense because what are they going to do? FaceTime you on desktop? You know what I mean?
Well, it's actually funny you mention that because a lot of people who run Macs, they actually can call not just FaceTime but regular through their PCs. Like I've received a bunch of calls from people saying, "Oh," and I've said to them, "Why you sound a bit different?" And like, "Oh, I'm calling you from my MacBook Pro." So I guess that is
whatever. Look, I definitely think you should have the number in the top, like I mentioned to you, a few days ago. I definitely think so. Yeah. But if not, you're going to put on if you're not going to put on desktop, then I would strongly advise you. This would be one of my strongest recommendations. At least on mobile, put the little phone symbol, and when you click on it, it opens up your phone number in that customer's.
We tried on the desktop page. Like I had that on my list of things to run through them on my last video call, and we played with it and it looked a bit messy, like when we did the test of it. So that's why I kind of pulled it off. And on the contact us button, I put my details at the very top above the form when you click on contact us, so that at least it was one click away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But you want to make it so it's easy for someone to contact you, as easy as possible. The less friction it can be to contact you. I would even recommend even things like live chat, but I think that is probably episode 3 or 4. Okay, right? I don't think it's for now, but I definitely think that you should do that for mobile. So that was what we mainly touched on. We went into meta descriptions, titles and descriptions through SEO Yoast, which we'll leave that for episode number 2.
Yep.
I think that's enough to explain sort of the story, the backstory, what we did. And see every single page you have this problem with that. And it's not doing on the blog, but then on the contact us, it's linking. Okay, so on the contact us, the canonical is going back to the version without the HTTPS. So we need to optimize. So if you have a look, do you see it says HTTP :
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to fix that up, the canonical. Why would we be telling Google we don't want the HTTPS version index when it's the most secure version versus the HTTP? So, but yeah.
That's fine.
We can fix that. So with the blog, we'll definitely talk about new blog posts in the next episode. Do you have? I know you got SEO Yoast installed. Do you have Google Analytics installed yet?
I think the guy did install it from memory. Yeah.
Did you use Google Tag Manager? Oh no, you did. No, sorry, you put the code. I think that looks like Google Analytics code. It does.
Yeah, I just saw Google Analytics written in the code.
He
definitely installed it. I remember him installing it.
It's a very yeah. So if you could grant me access after we go off script, or
Off
off
screen, yeah.
recording, I'll do that. So what I was talking about with the titles and description, just quickly before we leave, you saw up here with like your thing is home dash Clearview Cyber, and if you go to like
Yep.
cyber education, I think we use cyber education, right? As an example, you got at the top, this is the title, and this will will appear on your cyber education page.
Update that.
Definitely. So what we normally do for clients is we will keyword research beforehand. I recommend keyword researching like every second month for new trends. Keyword volumes fluctuate, so what people are searching for goes up and down like a stock market. So what I recommend, though, I want to give you tips where you can sort of see what's happening yourself rather than using third-party tools, SEO tools to do keyword research. There's a service called answerthepublic.com, right? And I love this site. I do this myself, but if there's one tool that I'll tell someone to help with when it comes to content writing, if you type in cybersecurity,
I've never seen this tool before.
and and they tell you the who, what, where, and how, and you click Australia. Hopefully, on the free account, it's going to let me do it. Probably hide some data. It will give you what questions people are typing in.
Okay.
I like to do it manually myself. I mean, look at the brain dump. Why cybersecurity awareness is important. So it gives you you can see the questions broken into the why, the where, the when, the who, the what, the which, the will.
Yeah.
All right.
They're typical titles for blog posts that could be used, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And normally it's broken down from what people are searching for, and they've got a different array of data points that they've used to sort of find out where this is coming from. What I recommend, but this is just a tool that I recommend to anybody. There is no excuse for you not to write content on your blog. It's either laziness or you don't have time. And if you don't have time, then you've got money to pay someone who does have time to do it for you. Because I'll hammer you when it comes to this, because this is ridiculously important for all companies to start doing. Yeah. So on cyber education, I think without any tools to do things manually, I think remember I showed you the people also ask.
Yeah, I remember last time I was trying to get it up on my Chrome, but for some reason there was a difference in the version I was running, or it didn't like me looking it up and it wouldn't let me show it.
Yeah, that's all good. So, I mean, you can see the like cyber education, or let's use like password.
Oh, here we go. I got it now.
Good. See, like password creation tips. Does that generate it? No, it doesn't generate it. But down the bottom.
Sorry, can you hear me okay? The video is breaking up.
Yeah, I can hear you. It is breaking up for me too. So I don't want to be too long because we're going really well. But this search is related to is a goldmine of keyword research. If you've got no other tool, I'd rather use Google itself.
Yeah.
How to create a strong password has got 2019, right? Easy passwords to remember, but hard to guess.
Yeah.
Right. So I just like the passwords because I think that's just one easy blog article you could create. And the searches related to can give you ideas and suggestions on the blog post.
Yeah.
And also you see when you create a video and then the blog post, remember I was telling you when you create a blog post and a video, you merge them. Why? Because they'll come up a lot more easier. If you go to, let's say you create an article called How to Create a Strong Password. You notice the titles of the videos have mostly to do with how to create a strong password.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense, right? So this is leveraging your visibility and maximizing your visibility, right? So you got your YouTube channel, you got your look, all you need is a 3-minute video, 2.5-minute video, breaking down Chris's recommendations for creating a strong password that's easy to remember, hard to guess. You create a 1,000-word article, you put your images, your stats, you upload it to the blog, you got your own YouTube channel. You're obviously quite good at creating video content, Chris, because you've got a shitload more engagement than I do, mate. So start dumping that video content on YouTube and then embedding them into WordPress, into your blog articles. That way, even when you, we're going to recap all this as we go along. When we rename images, naming the image, even in the blog post, how to create a strong password.
Yeah, okay.
And actually .jpeg, and then incorporating that. So it can even come up in the normal image. See down here, you've got the images as well.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's got the images itself. Then it's got videos itself. And then you got YouTube. So correct me if I'm wrong. That's like 4 places for you that having a blog post, how to create a strong password, using images that has that file name in it and illustrates that point, and video. You've got 4 ways you can come up. Plus the 5th would be YouTube itself.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, how's that? I mean,
there's a lot to unpack there, man. I'm glad I've got you giving me a hand, that's for sure.
So for you, I want you to, by the time we do another video, to see you have at least created a few articles.
Yeah, cool.
All right. All right. Cool. I want to see you do that. And then I can see straight away, we're going to lift your Google rankings and your traffic. And then when we want to go for like, cyber security services, that's why I recommend having, right? So when we target this keyword, it's got about 20 million results. Go back there on the images or the videos. It's got 570 million results, everything together. The sites that are ranking, I'll show you, we'll look at Ahrefs, we'll look at how many links they have. But that's why I recommend having on our site these services as a dedicated page, so we can target the keyword cybersecurity services, which is something people, and then cybersecurity services, Sydney. All right. Melbourne. Oh yeah, you're in Melbourne. Yeah, my bad. Cybersecurity.
I'm in the zombie land, mate.
Mate, you're in the heavy COVID-19 now. Yeah. So
actually, really funny. Every suburb around me has been locked down, and ours hasn't. I don't understand the logic. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I would self-isolate. So you even got articles on like top 10 cybersecurity companies in Australia.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity consulting. I think that might be. That word consulting, which is what I will do for clients, is even change synonyms in their services to make sure that they're more friendly to SEO. So if it's something like cybersecurity assistance, we might try and change it to cybersecurity consulting. Okay. Why? More people search for that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
So I can see you smiling. So the mind there, it's tinkering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tinkering. It's just because what I find funny is that, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's actually a compliment, but the goalposts keep moving because, like, talking to you where it's your area of expertise, right? When I think, I've reached a milestone where I've got a website that's not as shit as it was before, happy about that, then it's like, okay, now we've got to think about the next thing. And it's the same, what you're doing to me is the same that I do for my clients, in the cybersecurity space around, education and that sort of, you know what I mean? So
what do you want to do? You moved into step 1. What are we going to do, man? We're going to raise the champagne glasses. We're going to keep going. Yeah, we're going to.
You know what I mean, though, right?
No, I do. And look, I'm very aggressive. It's actually been one of the reasons that I lost a very long-term, well, in my opinion, one of the reasons I lost a very long-term client was, for me, this isn't my part-time hobby. Like, I take this very, very seriously. This is my work. I don't know anything else in life. If I fail at this, I'm screwed, Chris. Right? Right? I got nothing else to offer. Look at my arms. I can't do construction. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, so this is what I'm going to be doing. So,
yeah.
I don't have anything else. I should have turned the light on. I keep forgetting to do that. We normally talk after 4 o'clock. So, yeah, like I think that gives you plenty. I think for next one we're gonna discuss titles, descriptions, so we can try to build out a decent keyword strategy and have all your services pages optimized, right? So I'll even look at, like, on this homepage, I'll look in your source code. Do we have we've got one H1, which is good, but the H1 is cybersecurity education awareness training. That's a sentence. And I'm pretty sure that's the H1. Yeah. and this is a paragraph, which it shouldn't be really structured a paragraph because it's only a sentence. That's okay. And that's, look, what on this page, we'll break down, create more content, we'll create more what people are searching for around these different terms, and I'll do a bit more homework and research. But I think that's a very good first. Do you have?
That's awesome. I really appreciate your help.
No, mate, no problem. Just add me to analytics, and I think, and then send over my own credentials. So I'll log in for the next episode in a few weeks, and we can actually log in, and I'll optimize some of the titles and descriptions live.
Yeah, awesome. It'd be good to see how the traffic starts changing, because like, I've kicked it off on LinkedIn today and got a bunch of really good feedback. So there'll be some traffic there today. And I'm surprised how many people actually reached out saying there's actually a couple of hundred people saw it, which was kind of cool. So it'd be good to see how that translates to traffic. And then
you got like 32. Last time I checked, you probably got more now, but last time I checked, you got like 32 likes. So that would have been multiplied by the amount of connections each of those 32 have online at the time when they liked it.
Yeah.
So I reckon you've at least got about 1,000 views on that post.
Awesome. I think, out of interest, do you want me to check? By the way, I never actually chase metrics on stuff. My goal with LinkedIn type stuff is always just sharing, good content and that kind of thing.
And that's what it should be. That's what it should be.
Yeah. Because if you're chasing likes and metrics,
they're vanity metrics. Absolutely.
But so I only put that a few hours ago, and about 1,500 people saw that post, which is kind of cool.
Mate, I mean, 1,500 people that could. So within Google Analytics, we will break it down into the organic metrics, so we'll know specifically from Google. I think you're in an extremely tough niche. So obviously, I wouldn't be setting any 6-month goals with you, man. I'll be setting probably longer term, and I won't have that much resources to dedicate to it.
No, that's fine.
But I'm going to hammer you to sort of
keep pushing it, yeah.
To push it, and this is going to be sort of a flagship to my SEO membership service for $500 a month.
Awesome.
Which will get people, which will allow this to happen.
Yeah.
And it won't necessarily be on YouTube if they're paying for it. So
I think documenting the journey is really good. It's actually really good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chris, I'm going to stop recording. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you.